Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, we can start. We were on the 7th chapter, and I think we had done the 23rd verse, 24th. Is that right? 24th. 24th verse. We were doing the 24th verse actually. We are on the 24th verse. Avyaktaṁ vyaktim āpannaṁ manyante mamāvyayam paraṁ bhāvam ajānanto mamāvyayam anuttamam. Not knowing my immutable, unsurpassed supreme nature, the ignorant regard me, the unmanifest, as coming into being. All right, so here he's talking about his avatar nature, Krishna. What's the context? He's talking about bhakti, devotion, and he says 4 kinds of people are devoted to God, and they're all blessed. Those who come to God in distress, those who come to God because they want something, and those who come to God because they are inquirers, seekers of God, seekers of enlightenment, and those who are enlightened already, those who are already free, saved. So these are the 4 kinds who are all, they're all blessed. But there are others, the rest of the world. The question may arise then, why doesn't everybody become a devotee of God? Because they are blinded by desire. So that was the discussion going on. And here he talks particularly about avatar, the incarnation of God. It's a very, very powerful way of enlightenment, of overcoming samsara. But the only problem is you need faith in the incarnation. It's difficult to recognize the incarnation. That's why Swami Vivekananda said about Sri Ramakrishna, let people accept Sri Ramakrishna in whatever way they will. And you can be an incarnation of God, or let them accept him as as a great saint or a great spiritual seeker, as long as they do what he has taught. But that means it's difficult to recognize the incarnation. And so here Krishna says that not knowing my immutable, unsurpassed supreme nature. What is this immutable, unsurpassed supreme nature? Normally, from an Advaitic perspective, it would mean Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. But since we are talking about incarnation, incarnation is incarnation of Ishvara, Saguna Brahman, God, the God of religion. So he's talking this immutable, unsurpassed supreme nature is God. Not knowing that I am actually God, the ignorant regard me, the unmanifest supreme God, as having been born. What it means is, but you have been born. All the incarnations are born. It may be that they're born differently from human beings, but they are born. So their body is born, and that too, it's what Krishna is marking here is the incarnation avatar is very different from other human beings, other sentient beings. We are born because of our past karma. There's causality. We are forced from lifetime to lifetime. We have not really signed up for this. Although in a certain way we have, because of what we have done in many lifetimes, this is what we have built for ourselves. But we have no understanding of it. We have no memory of it. And we just are being pushed along by the forces of karma. Not so God. So when God becomes an incarnation, comes amidst us just like us, but is not just like us. First of all, God has come on purpose, not out of necessity or forced along. God has no past karma. We have come here because of a mixture of good and bad karma. Not so for God, the incarnations of God. God comes with a mission. We have also come here. Ultimate purpose is enlightenment. God's coming here is not for enlightenment. God is ever enlightened. God is ever free. Moksha is our goal. It's not God's goal. God is already free. God's goal is compassion, is saving humanity, is leading us to enlightenment. But Sri Krishna says, so if that's so powerful, that should be wonderful for all of us. But Sri Krishna says no, because it's very difficult to recognize. They think I am born just like them. The unmanifest has become manifest means I'm born just like them. Therefore, there's some religions do not accept incarnation, some theistic religions. So, for example, Islam does not accept reincarnation. There's a big difference between Islam and Christianity. So, Islam accepts Jesus Christ as a prophet, but not as the Son of God, not as an incarnation of God. For them, Jesus Christ is not Allah. So that's the big theological dispute between Islam and Christianity. Similarly, in India, so incarnations are accepted by all the sects of Hindus, but not by the other Indian religions. So Buddhism, of course, does not accept God. So there is no question of incarnation. Whose incarnation? Jainism also does not accept God. So there's no question of incarnation or avatar. Sikhism, which accepts God but does not accept incarnation. So God is not born as. Sri Krishna says, God, here he says, correct, God is not born, not like a human being. So when I come here, I'm actually not born like a human being, but people do not recognize that. It's very difficult to recognize. Just in case you're wondering, yes, all religions do accept special beings. So Islam does not accept an incarnation, but it accepts the Prophet Muhammad and other prophets as unique. They are human, but they are above the common run of humanity. They are extraordinarily by the grace of God. Sikhism does not accept incarnations of God, but it does accept that the 10 gurus were special. The 10 gurus of Sikhism are special. Then Buddhism doesn't accept God as such, nor does Jainism. But for them, Buddha and the Bodhisattvas, they are special beings. So who have been born out of compassion. They take many births out of compassion for all sentient beings to lead them to enlightenment. And then Swami Vivekananda, for example, the way he put his mission is very similar to the Bodhisattva ideal of Mahayana Buddhism. Swami Vivekananda said, my goal in life is to preach unto humanity their inner divinity, how to make it manifest in every movement of life. And then he says, to preach unto humanity their inner divinity until the universe shall know it is one with God. To every last sentient creature in this world, everybody must be saved. So it's a very Mahayana type of approach. Then, so the Jains have the Jinas. Mahavira, of course, is the last and the greatest of them. The Tirthankaras, who are the unique teachers of spirituality in every cosmic cycle. The Buddhas have the Buddhists have the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So every religion has a place for a special being. Now, this idea that there is a special being who is elevated above the rest of us, we can't become like that. We can all become free, we can all become enlightened, but we can't become like that. We can't become an incarnation of God, or we can't become a prophet without the grace of special grace of God. So probably they're talking about the same phenomenon. In some religions, it is called an avatar. In some religions, they don't accept avatar, but special being. And Krishna says they're very difficult to recognize. Then what in actually the 9th chapter, we will see later on, there's a verse which is almost like this. I can read it out to you. When we study the 9th chapter, we will come across the 11th verse of 9th chapter in the Gita. Avajānanti mam mūḍha manushim tanumāśritam paraṁ bhāvam ajānanto mamāvyayam maheshwaram. The ignorant deride me who have taken a human form, not knowing my higher nature as the great Lord of beings. So I am not a human being. People think that I am a human being, and then they regard me as a very humble human being, and they don't understand that I am none other than the God they are worshipping. So I have come in that way. Sri Ramakrishna said to Swami Vivekananda that he who was Rama, he who was Krishna, is in this body, in this age, is here as Ramakrishna. And then he added, not in your Vedantic, that means not in your Advaitic sense. Because if you take it in the Advaitic sense, one Satchidananda alone exists, everything is the manifestation of that. And Vivekananda himself says, you all are the avatars of the ultimate reality. From Advaitic perspective, if you're at all going to accept an avatar, then everybody's an avatar. We are all avatars because we are all appearances of that one reality. But not in that sense. Sri Ramakrishna says it is in the theistic sense, in the dualistic sense, in the sense of God and universe and individual being, Jiva Jagat Ishvara. In that sense, Ishvara has come in this day and age as an incarnation. What had happened in that time as Rama, what had happened, what appeared, that power which appeared as Krishna, has in this day and age appeared as Ramakrishna. And it is not evident to most people. Some people recognize. I was just thinking, even someone like Totapuri, who did not accept, or at least who did not give any importance to Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, God, let alone Avatar, but he recognized all those other people who were so devoted to God, to Ma Kali in Dakshineshwar, so all devotees are coming. They did not recognize who Ramakrishna was. Some thought he was mad, some thought he was just a priest, some thought he was a great devotee of Kali. That's it. It's too much to expect people to think this priest, who seems to be half mad, is actually incarnation of God. But this non-dualistic monk, Totapuri, he recognized. At one point, he says to Sri Ramakrishna, I know, he says, oh, it is you. I know who you are. And then he says, let me go. And Sri Ramakrishna said, no. Until the purpose is fulfilled, that I get this Advaitic full Advaitic realization from you. So that's what you have come here for. Until that time, you are not free to go. What a strange conversation between Guru and disciple. Guru is telling disciple, let me go, please let me go. And the disciple is saying, no, you will stay here until your purpose, your part in this Leela is fulfilled. So what does he recognize? He recognized, yes, I am Satchidananda. Totapuri recognizes, Aham Brahmasmi. But here is Saguna Brahman. With all the power of it, the Mayadhisha, the Lord of Maya. In this universe, this is the Lord. The king is in front of me in this strange guise. So some people recognize, most people do not recognize. And they may make fun. They may insult. They do not recognize what tremendous power is in this simple form. Swami Ranganathanji gives an example of Gandhiji. Here, of course, Swami Ranganathanji was our 13th president of our order. He had, of course, met Gandhiji and others, and that during the freedom struggle. He gives the example of Gandhiji, who was very unimpressive as a man, skinny, an old man, frail, most unimpressively dressed, unimpressive looking person. He was saying that Mrs. Sarojini Naidu, one of the great leaders of the freedom struggle, she humorously and affectionately, she called Mahatma Gandhi, when she first saw him, she called him Mickey Mouse. Big ears, skinny person, Mickey Mouse. In that Mickey Mouse frame of his, how much power was there, which shook the entire world order, which destroyed the British Empire. I remember attending this talk given by this crazy philosopher, Slavoj Žižek. He had come to New York, and he was giving a talk in the New York Public Library. So I attended two talks. One was in New York Public Library, one was in New York University. So in NYPL, New York Public Library, he was giving the talk, and maybe he saw me, I don't know why, suddenly started talking about Gandhi. And his way is he will say something very shocking. He will think, what is he saying? Is he mad? But then he will make sense after that. So what he said was, he has a very heavy Eastern European accent. He says, Gandhi was more violent than Hitler. Then everybody stunned. What is he saying? Gandhi is more violent than Hitler. Then he explains. You see, Hitler, for all his warfare, his war and fighting and destruction, he did not change anything. The same world order, imperialist powers fighting with each other, what was there before him also continued after him. Different great powers of the world fighting for supremacy with each other. He did not change the system. But Gandhi, he says, Gandhi destroyed the British Empire, destroyed imperialism, destroyed the old world order, and a new world was born because of Gandhi. So Gandhi was more destructive more violent than Hitler. So that's the way when he explains it, it makes sense. But he puts it in such a way which is shocking. Okay. So You take other examples, not just Gandhiji. Go back in history, in the past. Krishna himself, the one who is speaking here, what was he regarded as? As a cowherd boy. All the great kings and princes at that time, at least in the beginning, they just thought he was a cowherd boy, absolutely unimportant. Rama, though the prince of Ayodhya, he was wandering in the forest. People did not know his glory or greatness. Buddha that way had a little bit of an advantage because he was the son of the prince and son of the king, and people knew it, that he was the son of a king. Jesus, people called him a son of a carpenter. They had no idea of who or what he was. Again, in every case, a few great spiritual seekers, they recognized the avatar, that they recognized the glory of the person in front of them. Who this person is actually the king of the universe is standing in front of them. What an amazing realization that must have been. Then if you take a Sri Ramakrishna himself, people thought he was a madman, that he is getting visions and he has these fits, he has visions of Kali, or he is an illiterate temple priest, worshipper of Kali. So avajānanti māḍho, people, the fools, they do not recognize him. Then so God, they think, has become a human being. So they think it's an ordinary human being. But I'm not an ordinary human being. I'm not subject to the laws of karma like everybody else. I do not have ignorance. He will explain that later. Others are under the spell of ignorance. They do not know who they are, their own inner reality, that they are Satchidananda. They don't know. They do not know what this world is. That it is an appearance of Brahman that they don't know. They don't know me, God, Saguna Brahman. But I know it all. They don't know their own past lives. Sentient beings, let alone knowing God, they don't even know their own lives. What has happened in the past and what will happen in this life, what will happen in future. And Sri Krishna will say, I know it all. Omniscient. He's saying that he is Saguna Brahman, God. Many people don't understand this. I remember many years ago, about 15 years ago, there was, or no, not so much. There was 300 years of Guru Gobind Singh, they call it Gutta Gaddi. When Guru Gobind Singh, in Sikh religion, he declared that from now on there won't be any more gurus, and Guru Granth Sahib will be your guru. The text will now be your guru. The history of the Sikh religion, the 10 gurus, and then after that, no more guru. The text itself, Guru Granth Sahib, is now your guru. So that event is called Gutta Gaddi, and it was 300 years ago. 300 years of that were observed in a place called Nanded. It's to the south of the border between Andhra and I think Madhya Pradesh. I think, I'm not sure exactly. So I went there, and the Sikhs had organized an interfaith, and Maharashtra, yes, Andhra and Maharashtra went there. The Sikhs had organized an interfaith conference, an international interfaith conference. So I and Swami Sarvapriyananda, we represented Hinduism, and there were representatives from different religions, one or two from each. There was actually a rabbi from New York who was representing Judaism there. And there was a whole group of Tibetan monks. There was some miscommunication. The Dalai Lama thought that what was required was not a speaker but a group of monks to chant. So they sent their whole chanting team. All they wanted was one speaker. So he had a whole group of Tibetan monks and one representative from each religion. And Swami Sarvapriyananda, very quickly, he went back to Belur Math, so I was left alone there. And so one discussion where a speaker, a Sikh scholar, was criticizing Hinduism and saying, see, these are the ways in which Sikhism differs from Hinduism. Hindus believe God has become human being. God has become a human being. So I, being at that time much younger and more foolish, I stood up and protested. Then I quoted from Gita. I said, and in the 7th chapter, it says, avyaktaṁ vyaktim āpannaṁ manyante abuddhayaḥ. Fools think that Hindus think God has become a human being. God remains God. And then I quoted from the 9th chapter that this avajānanti mūḍho manushim tanumashrita. Fools think that I have become a human being, and they deride me, or they think less of me. They do not know I am none other than God. I appear as a human being. They were saying that, no, you are wrong, and it caused a minor uproar. You're wrong. Hindus think that God is a human and God is born as a human being. And then, but specifically, if you see the Gita, Gita says this. I was foolish because I was surrounded by all these big men in turbans and beards and with swords, which luckily they did not draw the swords, but I think I made my point. So this is the point that Sri Krishna is making. Avatara is not easily recognized. We say that, oh, I accept Sri Ramakrishna as an avatara. Well, yes, you do, at this distance. After Vivekananda has proclaimed him, after you see the lives of all these great teachers, and then thousands of other people, including great scholars. So people whom you admire and respect, generally, they are now accepting. And also society in general begins to accept. It's no great credit to you that you have also accepted. But it was a great credit to those few people who recognized in that. Some recognized him when he was a child, Sri Ramakrishna as a child. Some very devout villagers around him, they recognized this child was not an ordinary child. So those people are extraordinary, and for them liberation is guaranteed in this life itself. Why is it difficult to recognize? Next. Nāhaṁ prakāśhaḥ sarvasya yoga-māyā-samāvṛitaḥ mūḍho nābhijānāti loko ajam. I am not manifest to all, being veiled by my mysterious power, yoga-māyā. This ignorant world does not know me, the unborn and immutable. Nāhaṁ prakāśaḥ. Why is it difficult to know? Because I am not revealed. People see me as Krishna. People see the avatar. You see Rama and Krishna and Jesus and Buddha and so on. But what they are is not revealed. Why is it not revealed? Yoga-māyā-samāvṛitaḥ. Because I am covered, I am hidden, I am veiled by yoga-māyā, the power of yoga-māyā. What is yoga-māyā? Shankaracharya in his commentary gives a very simple, straightforward interpretation of yoga-māyā. Maya is made of 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, by the combination, by the yoga of the 3 gunas. So yoga-māyā literally is the constitution of Maya is being explained here. Maya is the combination of the 3 gunas. But a deeper meaning, Shankaracharya also mentions that. He says, or it is the special power by which the Lord manifests as avatara. Shankaracharya just says it's special power projected by the Lord. Why special power? Swami Vivekananda explains. He says, nature has 2 kinds of creations. Nature has 2 kinds of creations. One is the world and sentient beings like us. And second are special creations like incarnations. So he says Krishna and Jesus and others, they are special creations of nature. They are not creations like the rest of us. So nature here is Prakriti, or in Vedanta, it will be the power of Brahman, Maya. So Maya has 2 kinds of products. One is the general product of this universe, the entire physical universe, space, air, fire, water, earth, and all the combinations of it, producing all our subtle bodies and our physical bodies and all the worlds. And sentient beings, the consciousness which becomes limited by these individual bodies and minds. So this is nature producing all of this. This is what we see around. But occasionally, on the command of the Lord of nature, which is Ishvara, Bhagavan, nature will produce a unique thing, looking just like everything else. This unique thing is the incarnation, the body, the encasing of the incarnation. That is produced by nature. And that special power of nature is called yoga-māyā, which enables the infinite to appear in a finite form, which enables the all-pervasive to come in a particular place and time and to play a role, like a drama. It's a special manifestation of power. There's a very unique thing about Sri Ramakrishna. After he passed, he gave up the mortal body. Holy Mother, Ma Sharada, did not really want to stay back. And there was always the danger she would give up the body in meditation and go back to her abode. But Sri Ramakrishna wanted her to stay back, so that she had a great role to fulfill in the remaining decades of her life. So he pointed to this little child whose mother was mentally unbalanced, and the little baby Radhu, whom nobody was taking care of. And he put compassion, a special attachment in her mind for that little baby. And he says to her, like a vision, that this is yoga-māyā. Hold on to this and stay in this world. So it's a kind of attachment specially generated for her, so that she will remain in this body as Ma Sharada for a few more years. So very interesting. So this is another meaning of yoga-māyā. It's the power by which the avatar appears and stays amongst us. It's very difficult for them to be amongst in this mortal realm. They undergo so much suffering for our sake. Yoga-māyā-samāvṛitaḥ. So this yoga-māyā veils me, and therefore people do not see. But not all people. And sarvasya, not all. So I'm not available for for all to know who I am, which means some will realize, some will pierce the veil of yoga-māyā during the lila, the time of the life of the avatar, the lila, the physical performance of that lila, the divine play of the avatar. During that time, some will recognize. They are usually very great spiritual seekers, and those who have the special grace of the avatar. They will realize who this person is. Otherwise, mūḍho nābhijānāti loko, the deluded world, does not know me. How does it not know you? They know you. They saw Ramakrishna, they saw Krishna, they saw Chaitanya. So how is it that they don't know you? They saw Jesus, but they saw the person. They did not see the divinity in that person. How are you different? This already he has mentioned earlier when he has explained what an avatar is. But again, Krishna is telling us, how are you? You just look like a human being. How are you different? 26. Vedāham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda na kaścana. O Arjuna, I know all beings, past, present and future, but nobody knows me. In one of the stotras, hymns to Sri Ramakrishna, it is said, Yo vetti sarvam nachayasya vetta. Who knows all, but there is no knower for that one. Basically, that is the Sakshi Chaitanya, the witness consciousness in all of us. But here is talking about incarnation, God. So God knows everything, omniscient. But God is not known directly. The real nature of God, of course, cannot be known as an object, because it is our real nature also. Here he says, I am beyond ignorance. So suddenly, why is he saying this? To signal that he is not like us. We are covered by ignorance. We do not know our own real nature. We do not know God. We do not know the nature of this world. We do not know, even as human beings also, we don't know our own life. What has happened in the past, previous lives. What will happen in this life? We don't even know the present. What will happen in the future lives? Of course, we don't know. But there is a being who knows. God knows everything, and the incarnation also. So does the incarnation know everything about everybody at the same time? No. But the incarnation, once it's necessary for the Leela, then the incarnation will immediately know in an extraordinary way. I'm reminded of, the same incident shows Jesus and John the Baptist. So John the Baptist is one who recognizes who Jesus is. And Jesus shows he knows all of it, all the past and the present. So that when John the Baptist in the river Jordan, he used to baptize people, that now you are reborn. He would dunk them in the river. That's where the baptism ceremony has come from in the church. And he would tell people that someone is coming. I can feel it. I know it. It has been prophesied that one is coming who will baptize you not with water as I baptize you. He will baptize you with fire. He'll baptize you with not a ritual, he'll baptize you with the truth. He's talking about the coming of Avatar. One day, in the long line of people who are coming for that baptism, John the Baptist, he sees Jesus. And he immediately bows down to Jesus and he says, "It is not I who should baptize you. You should baptize me. I am not even," he used to say to people, the one is coming whose shoelaces I am not fit to tie. Although he was such a great saint, everybody revered him. They thought, who is he talking about? And this ordinary carpenter, young son of a carpenter, he comes and suddenly this great saint, he bows down to him and says, "No, I am not fit to baptize you. You should baptize me." And what did Jesus say? See, on the other hand, the avatar knows everything. He says, immediately he acknowledges. Only John the Baptist and Jesus understand the dialogue. Nobody else, everybody would have been mystified. What's going on here? Jesus says, "Be that as it may, but let the prophecies be fulfilled. And let what has been written, what is to be done, the Leela, it should go on. You should baptize me." Just like Sri Ramakrishna had a series of gurus. He was an avatar. What can human gurus teach him? But this is, in this way, religion is again re-established. He gets initiated in a tantric way, in a Vaishnava way, in the worship of Kali, in the worship of Rama, in the worship of Krishna, in the Advaitic worship. He practices Christianity and Islam. And in every way, he reaches the highest goal. What is this? This is sthapakaya cha dharmasya. This is re-establishing the truth of religion, core truth of all religions. So that is the Leela. And for that, he needs to be initiated by so many gurus. For that, Jesus needs to be baptized by John the Baptist. But he knows all of it. Then 27. Now the question is, what is it that is preventing us from realizing the avatar and realizing, becoming enlightened also? What is the exact problem? The power. Ichchadvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. All beings, O scorcher of foes, are deluded at birth by that deception due to the pairs of opposites which arise out of desire and aversion, O descendant of Bharata. So, by ignorance, basically by ignorance. In Advaita Vedanta, we say ignorance is the cause of all delusion. But specifically, what form does it take? It takes the form of our cravings. This is nice, and I want this. It could be money and sense pleasures and gadgets and relationships and power and status and Facebook likes and whatnot. I want this. This is nice. And the opposite. There are many things in this world. I'm scared of it. I hate it. Or this thing or this job or this food or this person. And I want to avoid it. Raga dvesha. Likes and dislikes, attractions and repulsions. You might say that, but that's pretty obvious and it's common. It's reasonable. There are things which you would like and things you would not like. But in a deep sense, that is born of delusion. If Brahman alone is the reality, and so in a deep sense, you would not have particular likes and dislikes for anything or anybody in the universe. Yes, practically, of course. Even after enlightenment, you will eat food and you will not eat poison. But you know, that is at the practical level, vyavaharika level, empirical level. There is only one reality, existence, consciousness, bliss, and that you are, choicelessly. From eternity to eternity, you are already that. At the level of the movie, at the level of the dream, at the level of the illusion, there are things which are good and bad, and in the movies, there are heroes and villains, but it's a movie. The enlightened one knows that, and we don't. And that's why we react to this as if it was the ultimate truth. And therefore, our likes and dislikes are very strong. We desperately run after our likes. And that's the purpose of our lives. We desperately run away from certain things. And that's what what our life is. Those things cause anxiety to me. These things cause temptation. And one causes temptation, and the one causes terror. The two T's, temptation, capital T and capital T, terror and temptation. Dislikes, terror. Likes, attraction, temptation. and now we are swept along in life. You see, even immorality, unethical behavior, it is only because of these two. We generally educated, cultured, decent, adult people, we know what is right, what is wrong. We have a general sense of morality. Yet we do things which are immoral. Sometimes we make mistakes. Why? Not on purpose, not deliberately, because we always regret it. But what made us do it? Raga, dvesha, attraction and repulsion. Some attraction was there, we could not resist. Or some terror, anxiety was there, we could not resist. And therefore, we did something which we normally would not have done. We said something which we later regret. So in our behavior and speech, we are forced into immorality and into unethical behavior because of this raga dvesha. It's a delusion created by this world of dreams created by ichcha dvesha or raga dvesha, likes and dislikes. They seem very innocuous, likes and dislikes. What's there to get upset about? But they are rooted in a wrong idea of reality. That I am this little body and mind, and therefore everything else now falls into a category of like, good, bad. And the good is to be pursued, and the bad is to be avoided. Swami Vivekananda says, things are dead in themselves. We breathe life into them, and then we run after them or we run away from them. This is raga dvesha. Notice in contrast, again and again, how the enlightened person is described. Samadarshi. Samadrishti. Samadrishti means same-sightedness, evenness of vision. All people ultimately are the same divinity. Although coming through the particular bodies and minds, their behavior may be good or bad. One may be a saint, another may be a villain. It's not that we don't see the difference between a saint and villain. A divinity student at Harvard Divinity School told me, you know why I don't like Vedanta? It says Mother Teresa and Hitler are the same. No, Mother Teresa and Hitler are not the same. And yet they are the same. Not the same in the sense of what their minds were like, what their actions were like, vastly different. What their effect was like on people, vastly different. Vedanta completely admits that. But you look deeper. Is Mother Teresa and Hitler, is that the final identity of that sentient being? No, that sentient being had other lives before and will have future lives. Not only that, was that sentient being, Mother Teresa, was she a saint when she was 1 year old, 6 months old? Was Hitler a monster when he was 6 months old, 3 months old? Or when one is a saint and another is a monster, when they go into deep sleep? At that point, is one a monster, is one a villain? No. One does not have saintly thoughts, another one does not have monstrous thoughts. Even the thoughts will cease. Yet the sentient being continues. So yes, it's a mask of being a monster or being a saint, and being a saint is definitely better than being a monster. Why? Because the saint is closer to God. The monster is that much farther away from liberation or enlightenment. So yes, Vedanta clearly sees the difference between the saint and the sinner, but also sees something beyond both, or higher than both, or underlying both. So because of this delusion born, ignorance born, likes and dislikes, we do wrong things. Our vision is clouded. Shankaracharya here, he makes a remarkable statement, a very scientific statement, let me quote from his commentary. This is a commentary on this verse by Adi Shankaracharya. And he says, I'm reading it out. Nahi ichcha dvesha dosha paravashikrita chittasya yatha bhutartha vishaya jnanam utpadyate bahirapi. A mind which is clouded by likes and dislikes, strong desires and aversions, even in ordinary matters of the world, such a mind cannot get knowledge, it cannot take correct decisions. He says, Yatha bhutartha vishaya jnanam utpadyate, will not get knowledge of things as they are. Such a mind actually will be clouded by its own likes and dislikes, its own prejudices. And there will dwell more in opinions rather than in knowledge. Swami Ranganathanji makes a big deal out of this in his English commentary. One of the most beautiful commentaries which is available on the Gita now, 3-volume commentary on Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ranganathanandaji, who was our 13th president. So there he makes a big deal out of this. He says, look at the scientific spirit. This is objectivity. And he makes a distinction between knowledge and opinion. Vastu Tantra, Purusha Tantra. Vastu Tantra means a knowledge of a thing as it is. What thing? Things in the world. People, case study. If you're a doctor, you're diagnosing a patient. If you are a researcher in a lab, you are taking a call on your findings. Whatever it is. Politician, educationist, philosopher, but objective approach to knowledge. That is called Vastu Tantra. Vastu Tantra means knowledge as a thing is. Purusha Tantra means opinion. Depending, personal, subjective, depending on you. Shankaracharya makes a difference between the two. Vastu Tantra is always knowledge of the object as it is. And Purusha Tantra is, he says, kartum akartum anyatha va kartum shakyate. You can do it, you may not do it, you may do it otherwise in a different way. It's up to you. Your action, whatever action you will take in a particular situation, it's a matter of opinion, depending upon your personal choice. So opinion is not knowledge. Personal views are personal views. Prejudices are prejudices. They are not knowledge. He says a mind which is clouded by strong likes and dislikes is infected, is prejudiced, even in worldly affairs. Then Shankaracharya goes on. किमु वक्तव्यं ताभ्याम आविष्ट बुद्धेः सम्मूढस्य प्रत्यगात्मनि बहु प्रतिबंधे ज्ञानम नोत्पद्यते इति. What is there to wonder at? What is there to say that such a mind will not get realization about the inner self, that I am Satchidananda? That knowledge will not come in such a mind which is clouded by strong likes and dislikes. Bahupratibandhena, there are many obstacles, many difficulties in realizing that I am the witness consciousness. In that case, such a mind which cannot get correct knowledge of external things will not get knowledge inside. So this knowledge focus, not opinion focus. This is the difference between Advaita Vedanta and dualistic or theistic schools. Theistic schools of thought will tell you a doctrine, will tell you a matter of faith. Believe in God like this. God is of this form, of these qualities, and these are the texts. Why? Because we say so. It's a doctrine. Or nowadays, people don't even follow doctrines. Doctrines are often grounded on good reasoning, on a lot of the experience of saints. But nowadays, people just follow their own feelings. And they forget what I like is not necessarily true. What I dislike is not necessarily false. The objectivity in Advaita Vedanta, objectivity is very important. And very interesting in objectivity, not only about things in the world, but objectivity about the subject. The mind which has strong likes and dislikes in the world, the mind which has a lot of prejudices in the world, will carry up those into the realm of religion. For such a mind, Advaita becomes very difficult. Advaita is not a matter of opinions. It's not a matter of likes and dislikes. It's a matter of seeing what is real, not a matter of feelings that I feel this to be right, so it must be right. No. It could be, but one must investigate it. This knowledge focus. So Swami Ranganathanji says this must be trained. He emphasizes education from childhood onwards. He's talking about India. He says that in our country, it's rife with superstition. It's run over with, a variety of ritualistic practices and superstitions, just because it has been transmitted for generations in our community. Just because of that, I'm following it. A variety of, worship of this deity, that deity. Core idea of Vedanta, that there is one divinity, Satchidananda. You can take it in a dualistic form, Dvaita Vedanta. You can take it in Vishishtadvaita form. You can take it in Advaitic form. That has to be realized. That has to be realized through the great paths of inquiry, Jnana Yoga, through the path of meditation, Dhyana Yoga, through the path of devotion, Bhakti Yoga, or unselfish service of God in humanity. These are the royal paths. not little customs, rites, rituals, which are, so he says, all pervasive and full of superstitions. This comes because knowledge approach is not encouraged. Inquiry approach is not encouraged. And this must be encouraged, not, you can't just directly jump to it in religion. It must be encouraged first in education. When he talks about Indian education, Indian education with emphasis was more on rote learning, just memorizing texts instead of asking questions. That way, the one good thing about education here in the West, from schools onwards, children are taught to question, to ask questions, to learn from themselves, and to be think anew, think for themselves, to be creative. And Ranganathanji says that is very important to be a good Advaitin, to be a good Jnana Yogi. That is important. Let me read that sentence again. Such a wonderful observation. Nahi ichcha dvesha dosha paravashikrita chittasya yatha bhutartha vishaya jnanam utpadyate bahirapi. External knowledge about external objects is also difficult for an objective knowledge is also difficult for a mind clouded by likes and dislikes. Kimu vaktavyam tabhyam avishta buddhe sammudhasya pratyagatmani bahu pratibandhe jnanam notpadyate. What is there to wonder at? What is there to say when it comes to the extremely subtle, very difficult to get knowledge of the inner self, pratyagatma, when the mind is clouded by likes and dislikes, attractions and aversions. I remember I heard this remarkable statement by a classical teacher, a teacher of classical Advaita Vedanta, Ramananda Saraswati. So in a gathering, there was question answer going on, and this traditional, Shankarite monk, wandering monk, suddenly somebody asked a question, what is true education? And everybody else was a little taken aback. We had a nice Vedantic discussion going on. So why suddenly this general question of what is true education? But he gave a beautiful answer from the Adhyasa Bhashya of Shankaracharya, Ramananda Saraswati. He gave a wonderful answer. And the answer was that Pashvadi Avisheshat, there is no distinction between a learned person and an animal. Why? That a person may have learned all the books, studied everything, but if it's not reflected in behavior, then it is not education. When he gives, in the Shankaracharya himself gives the example in the Adhyasa Bhashya, Harita Trinapurna, that somebody comes with a handful of green grass and waves it in front of a cow, the cow will go towards that person. Some Danda Udyata Karapurusham, a man comes with a raised stick and the cow will run away from that man. Similarly, when temptation and terror come into our lives, no matter what we have understood, what we know to be right, what we know to be true, we run towards what is nice and attractive. We run away from what is scary and anxiety producing, fear inducing. Though we may know going towards that is wrong and not doing the right thing when you are faced with terror and that is not right. We should not run away from there. But we do it. And Shankaracharya says, Pashvadi Avisheshat. Then what is the difference between a pandit and a cow and an animal? You're doing the same thing. Then Ramananda Saraswati said, so what is true education? Simply what you have studied and assimilated to live according to that. Even if you think it is wrong, even in the face of temptation, you resist temptation. If you think it is right, then even in the face of threats and chances of loss, of harm, you still do what is right. That is true education. What a remarkable answer. And Krishna here is saying the same thing. He says that Ichchadvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. Then a beautiful verse. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridha brata. But those of virtuous actions whose sins have been at an end are freed from the delusion of the dualities and worship me with firmness of vow. Who gets out of this delusion? He says, Antagatam papam. those whose sins are at an end. So sins are at an end. Remember, it is not that spirituality is not for a sinner. It is generally seen that those who have a lot of bad karma, sinful karma, and generally they are not attracted to spiritual path. They will not find devotion in God. The minds will be too restless to meditate. Then this whole path of inquiry and self-realization would simply seem pointless, unreal to them. And the path of selfless service, why? I, me, mine. Why should I do anything for others? This is a sign. A Vedantist in Indian philosophy, they'll say this is a sign of bad karma, of a sinful life. Not in this life, many lives past maybe. But the point is, then is all lost? Can I not be spiritual? Of course not. Human birth is meant for God realization. So if I've got a human birth, then whatever my past karma, all human bodies are produced by a mixture of good and bad karma. So whatever my past karma, no matter how bad the karma is, the fact that I have got a human birth means I have a chance at enlightenment in this life. All of us have a chance. So it's not that bad karma is preventing me in this life, no chance of spirituality. If I want, I can make an effort. So he says, antagatam papam here, one can overcome this bad karma by one thing. We'll talk about the details, but the first, most important, is to make up your mind, God realization is my goal. Moksha is my goal. Enlightenment is my goal. Money is not my goal. Money may be there. Relationships are not my goal. Power and position or going to heaven after death, that's not my goal. Enlightenment is my goal. I want that now or in some future life, but I have to get that. That is the most purifying thing. He says, Punya karmanam, those who have got meritorious deeds. All meritorious deeds will come later. The first thing which makes everything meritorious is this vow, this intention of enlightenment. My goal is enlightenment. Then whatever you do will slowly become all meritorious. The other way around, there are people who do meritorious deeds. They give alms to the poor, they give donations to charities. Why? So my bad karma will be wiped out. Maybe I'll go to heaven after this. Nowhere is God realization, enlightenment anywhere on the scene. That is not being talked about here. One may do plenty of meritorious deeds, good things, just because, maybe I like doing good. Maybe I like social causes, environmental causes, and that's it. I have nothing to do with enlightenment, God realization. That kind of meritorious deed is not being talked about here. So first is, I must become enlightened in this very life. Then it will follow. What kind of life will I lead? What kind of life decisions will I take? How will I behave with others? What disciplines will I follow? How will I speak? All of these will now be slowly, it will follow. It will be implied by this one core idea. Te dvandva moha nirmukta. They are freed of these dualities, heat and cold, honor and dishonor, all these dualities. So these dualities are secondary. Heat and cold, honor and dishonor, pain and pleasure. There are many kinds of even deeper dualities. What are they? One is, first question, samsar ke liye ya ishwar ke liye? My life, is it for samsara? Is life for this world or is it for God? Is it for enlightenment or is it for worldly enjoyment? Is my life going to be spent in the pursuit of worldly things or in the pursuit of spirituality? This is the first duality. I have to decide. And the second duality will be a choice. There will be so many choices before us. Path of knowledge or the path of devotion. If the path of devotion, then am I a Vaishnava, as a Shaiva, Shakta, or a Christian or a Muslim? So many paths, especially this day and age, it's all open. But you have to pick up one and then hold on to that. That decision also has to be taken. And then these dualities, pleasure and pain, success and failure, gain and loss, humiliation or praise. These will keep coming. I will pursue my God realization as my goal. Then what happens? Bhajante mam dridha vrataha. such persons will be able to worship me dridhavrata, with firm determination, with firm vows. What happens is, in most cases, there is a direct connection between bad karma, indisciplined life, and fickleness. So such a person, often they come to spirituality, they listen to a couple of good lectures, they read a couple of books, maybe attend a meditation retreat, but that's it, nothing more. They make a resolution and then they break the resolution. New Year's resolutions, they're made and then they're broken. Why does this happen? This is the true saint, a true spiritual practitioner is very firm in practice. That you will see in the lives of all great saints. You will see the lives of direct disciples. How firm they were. Whatever they took up, they followed through. It does not matter if they are physically ill, if there is no money, nobody supporting them, if it's too hot or too cold. Too hot to meditate. I was just thinking, it's too hot to meditate. In India, you feel sometimes like that. It's too hot, too humid, and you cannot concentrate. How can anybody possibly meditate in this? And let me get up and go and read a book. I'm speaking from personal experience. Let me go up and get up and read a book. But then I read about Swami Vijnanananda ji, in the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, in Allahabad, where he spent decades of his life in a small ashram, a small building, no electricity, no fans, in the blistering heat of summer of Allahabad. 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day meditation. When it's really hot, what does he do? He wets a towel and puts it on his head and comes back and sits on meditation. What tremendous determination. Swami Trigunatitananda also was known for his unshakable determination. All of them, all the direct disciples. I remember seeing a very great Swami, a traditional teacher in Haridwar. We were attending classes. Then one monk, he came to attend a class. A text was being taught. After a few days, so it's open format. They're like a bit like a Zoom class. You can come in and you can go. So they can come in and sit and you can listen to a class, or you can disappear if you want to go away somewhere, off on your pilgrimage or whatever. After a few days, the monk said, I want to go on a pilgrimage to the Himalayas, to Gangotri and Badrinath. And the teacher, the Swami who was the teacher, said, look, you have taken up something, finish it, and then go. But this monk, young monk, was restless. He said, no, I've got this tremendous dispassion. I want to off to the Himalayas. And, after a few days, the teacher said, all right, then go. This Swami went off. He disappeared. He went to his pilgrimage in Himalayas. But a couple of days later, he was back. They asked him, what happened? Oh, Swami, we went in this bus and there are huge landslides in the mountains. So there was a huge landslide and the road was cut off. So I had to come back. Now this master who was teaching Vedanta, the Swami, he scolded this young monk severely. He said, this is not the way you are going to become enlightened. Take up one thing and finish it, no matter what. So what if there is a landslide? You start walking. Get up and go, climb over the landslide and then walk. Why do you need a bus? So, and he said, whether the body lives or dies, I will go and reach that temple in the high mountains. He says, unless you have that determination, what will happen is, every time an obstacle comes up, you'll give up. And you'll take up something easier. An easygoing life and spiritual life don't go together. It's fickle. That's why in small things also determination is important, so that in big things we don't waver. And he said, that is why I told you to finish it. You've taken up the study of a text. Finish the text and then go. I remember Trigunatitananda Maharaj. Once he started doing japa. And he said, I will keep on doing the japa until I get enlightenment. But he's not stopping to eat or to sleep. And his brother disciples thought he's going to go mad. And they pleaded with him, just stop for a while and eat something. And then you can start repeat the mantra, sit and repeat the mantra. Finally, he was persuaded. Swami Shivananda, Tarak Maharaj, Swami Shivananda, whom Trigunatitananda revered so much, he said, you're a holy man. You sit near me and repeat the mantra. I'll touch you with one hand and quickly eat something. And then I'll sit and repeat the mantra again. But that determination, you see. And so here Krishna says, Dridha Vrata. This determination is directly linked to purity of mind. Even if we are not determined, we should try our best to keep on increasing that particular quality. That is connected with focus. Otherwise, what happens? I may decide, all right, I'm inspired, I shall become enlightened in this very life. But that determination itself will be shaky. The moment, next day, some new determination, new goal will come along. So one determination and follow through with it. That's the way to achieve something great in life. There's a saying, who is a big shot? The American phrase, big shot. A big shot is a little shot who keeps shooting. So a little shot who keeps shooting is a big shot. I remember when I wanted to become a monk, I was studying. So I came to the monastery and bowed down to my guru and I said, I want to become a monk. And my guru asked me, what are you doing? And what are you studying? I said, I'm studying, I'm doing my MBA. How much is left? I said, 1 more year. And very gently, he told me, is it good to give up things halfway? And I had the good sense at least to listen to him. So I said, all right. I asked him, I was worried that maybe if I'd wait for 1 more year, maybe I won't be able to become a monk. So I asked him that wouldn't there be a problem if I wait for a year? Immediately reassured me. He said, there won't be any problem. So I had a good sense to listen to him and go back and complete it. In one of Tolstoy's or Dostoevsky's works, I'm not sure which one, there's a young man who wants to become a monk in Russia, in the Eastern Orthodox Church, Russian Orthodox Church. And so he goes off to become a monk, but that's his examination time. It's a very well-known phenomenon. Just before examinations, everybody wants to become a monk. So the old patriarch in the church tells him, you go back and finish your studies. And this young man is not willing to listen. Then the old patriarch or monk said, look, this life is like a marathon race. It is for your whole life. It's not a matter of 1 year or 2 years. If you don't have the patience to hold on to something like your studies for 1 more year, how will you hold on to this life for next 80, 90 years? So that patience, that determination to take up one thing and to finish it, it's a great quality, no doubt. I mean, I saw with my own eyes that one quality which distinguished all the best academicians at Harvard University. I noticed this. I studied it actually. I would go and watch them, students, very brilliant students. One common thing I saw in all of them, and their ability to focus and hold on for hours and hours, poring over. Young kids, we think the kids these days are restless, but no, many of them are not like that. Especially in a place like Harvard, you get to see the best of these and the most educationally, those who are very highly qualified or endowed. One common quality is focus and the ability to hold on, determination. Then all of this, Sri Krishna says, Dhrida Vrataha. Why do they do this? All of this, what is the purpose? Why will they practice with so much determination? 29th verse. Jara marana mokshaya mamāvyayam yatanti te brahma tad vidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. So they strive. Why do they strive? Jara marana mokshaya, to attain freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Moksha. Those who strive for freedom from decay and death take refuge in me. Know that Brahman, all about the embodied self and action in its entirety. What will they get? Desiring enlightenment, desiring freedom from suffering. And suffering is shown as the cycle of birth and death. They make efforts. Yatanti, those who make efforts. They will realize Brahman. And Adhyatmam, about their inner self. I am Brahman. They will realize that. Karmam, the real meaning of karma. Real meaning of karma is enlightenment, not for enjoyment in this world. Swami Vivekananda starts his Karma Yoga book. The purpose of karma, the purpose of work is not enjoyment, it is knowledge. Gita, Krishna says, Sarva karmakhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. All work, all activity, whatever you do in this world, it only ends and culminates in knowledge. And what knowledge? The final knowledge. enlightenment, God realization. And that's what will happen to such people who practice with firm determination. Then Krishna adds like a trailer, they say, to encourage a person to wait for the next installment. 30th verse. Sadhibhutadhidaivam cha sadhibhutadhidaivam mam sadhiyagyam cha ye viduho prayanakale picha mam te viduryukta chetasa. Those who know me together with what concerns beings, the gods and the sacrifices, fix their mind on me and know me even at the time of death. So he has a whole slew of technical terms which he throws out at the very end of the chapter. Unnecessary, but he throws it out. Adhibhutam, adhidaivam, adhiyagyam. And these are the things you have to realize and center your mind in me at the time of death. Very intriguing. Suddenly he says these things. And obviously we want to know what do all these things mean? And that will be the question that Arjuna will ask, which will lead to the 8th chapter. But that we will have to wait. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Sorry, I missed the chat box. Let me quickly take a look at what's there. Rick says, a lot of people claim that their guru is an avatar. A lot of gurus claim it. Do you think avatars or partial avatars are somewhat commonplace, or most of these claims bogus? I wouldn't say bogus. They're mostly out of great devotion. One Swami said that Abrahamic religions are too strict. There's only one teacher or one incarnation and everything else is false. No. And Hinduism is too liberal. You have any number of avatars and prophets and all. When Swami Vivekananda came to teach here in one church, he was going to give a talk, and this lady who later wrote Reminiscences, she said, I had gone breathlessly to see this visitor, mysterious visitor from the east, and my friend breathlessly was telling me, the two young girls were telling me, he is like a prophet from the Bible. And I said, but the age of prophets is done. And she said, no, in India it's always the age of the prophets. So you may be over liberal. Who was it? I think Swami Ashokanandaji. He was talking about Berkeley, in the time of the hippies in the 1960s and early 70s. Swami Ashokanji or Swami Prabhavanandaji. He said, oh, Berkeley, wonderful place, an avatar in every corner. So every corner, they're all high on drugs, of course, and they think they are enlightened beings. So it is better to be parsimonious, to be a little economical with our avatars. Doesn't matter whether my guru is avatar. Out of great devotion, I may say my guru is an avatar. Doesn't matter. As long as I have intense devotion, faith in the teachings, and I practice it, it's enough. Generally, avatars are rare. Gaurav says, ISKCON accepts Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the avatar of Radha Krishna. Correct. When I visited Swami Narayan temple, appeared they had their own version of avatars. From a Advaitic perspective, does it matter if people get avatars correct? No, it doesn't matter. What matters is do you get the ultimate reality. I am Brahman. That you have to get correct. I feel that Advaita is a very simple philosophy, whereas theistic application religion gets quite complicated because their followers don't have a way to verify correctness of faith in avatar. Yes, Advaita Vedanta is very elegant, very mathematical almost in its simplicity and directness, very impersonal, equally available to everybody, but maybe a little subtle. Whereas the theistic faiths, the dualistic faiths, they tend to have very complex theologies. If you try to make sense of it, it becomes very complex very fast. Advaita, you see, compare Advaita Vedanta and Vishishtadvaita. Vishishtadvaita, the philosophical system, is actually far more complex than Advaita Vedanta. And if you compare it with Dvaita Vedanta, dualistic system of Madhvacharya, much more complex. Alpana says, are the terms Prakriti and Maya used in Upanishads? Yes. Are they from Sankhya philosophy? No, they are used, you find in Upanishads. Shvetashvara Upanishad actually uses Maya. Even Rig Veda uses Maya, the term Maya. Punita ji says, verse 7.24, can it also be interpreted that Krishna is referring to us being confused about our birth in this human incarnation, not aware of a true nature as consciousness, unborn and unmanifest? Correct. That's the direct interpretation, but that's the Advaitic interpretation. If you look at Shankaracharya's commentary on this, he could have directly said, we are ignorant about our real nature. Our real nature is Satchidananda. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Finished. No, there he gives a devotional, a bhakti interpretation. We do not know Narayan or Bhagavan. Because what is this chapter? Here we have the emphasis is on devotion, bhakti. Gita Dev says, wasn't Bhairavi Brahmani one of the first to recognize Thakur as an avatar? Certainly. There was a porter who recognized Ma Sharada as Ma Janaki, as Sita. Yes. So do you imagine? There's so many people, very simple, saintly people who recognized, and great scholars, very intellectual people who kept on doubting. Abhijit says, where does the concept of avatar originate in terms of Shruti, Smriti, Purana? We are not going to go into that. It's avatarology. It's a huge subject. In Christian theology, there's a whole Christology. Bill says, 7.28, please say more about worship. Well, not today. Shanli says, once you said a devotee with tearful heart and eyes and a tremendous devotion will also get an enlightened mind even though they don't watch any Vedanta lectures. Correct. Rama says, can duality here mean the subject-object duality and freeing from the same to realize the oneness? Again, the same answer. This is a very Advaitic way of understanding it, and that's correct. I would be entirely in agreement with you. But here, let's remember the context is devotion. Tamiko says, in the firm determination needed for enlightenment, how does one avoid falling into either spiritual bypassing or ignoring one's own inner voice and inner guidance? See, if one does that, spiritual bypassing or ignoring one's own inner voice, inner guidance, the result will be suffering. Remember, the Lord is in charge of our spiritual life. Ultimately, the whole universe is designed for ultimately leading us to enlightenment. So if I get into a wrong bylane and alleys, there will be enough kicks and blows which will guide me back to the reality. So yes, nobody will be left behind. Nobody will be lost in the end. Pradeep Bose says, in 7.28, a firm resolve, is it synonymous with Vyakulata? Correct. Intense restlessness for God, intense desire for God. But intense desire for God, it's difficult for us to generate that directly. What we can do is take a firm resolve and pursue it. We do it in our worldly life. To get a degree, how much resolve you need? To get a job in a high pressure place like say Wall Street in these hedge funds and all, how much resolve and effort is, you throw yourself into it. 12 hours, 14 hours. God realization is easier than that. All right. So 12th April, we'll meet again for the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna class. Of course, the Sunday classes and talks will go on here. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.